So I'm going to run through stretching and foam rolling, self-myofascial release for my clients and anyone else who finds it beneficial. You want to get those trigger points, those knots, rolled on the muscle so that the muscle can elongate and stretch and have the right length-tension relationship. Otherwise, the body gets pulled in different directions. When you're out of alignment, that's when you're predisposed to injury and other pains. Oftentimes, even surgery can be avoided with just the right stretching protocol. I'm going to be using medicine ball and foam rollers for what I'm doing today. I've even myself used anything from a baseball bat instead of a foam roller, or a wine bottle, which you obviously want to be careful with. But you can use that in certain areas, possibly the lower leg, calf, Piriformis outside the leg. I'm going to start with the foam roller with the lower body and work my way up. This can be very beneficial, especially for those of you who have a large turnout in the foot, or up on your toes a lot through squatting movement, things like that. We lead with the foam rolling and then go to the stretching. And even more beneficial to do this after a little bit of a warm-up, a couple minutes, 2 to 5 minutes warmed up, blood flowing, a little bit of a sweat, the body temperature is raised up. Muscles are warmed up with blood through them, and joints are a little lubricated as well. So I'm going to take the short foam roller, use either the long one, the short one, or the ball. These are a little bit softer, they vary in densities. White are usually even softer, black are even harder, and you can even go with a PVC, a plastic pipe, or even a little harder. Put a towel on top of that if you like. Now, starting from the knee down, we're not going to roll over the knee, we're not going to roll over the ankle, we want to cover the entire area. If you're someone who has a turn outward of the foot, this peroneal area, outside of the shins, the front of the shins, is an area you want to really check out. I'm going to be moving fairly slow at first, and I'm going to speed up my movements just for time's sake. But right now, this is about the speed we go. Right there, I feel a tender point. I'm going to stay on that about 8 to 10 seconds, maybe even a little longer. Then I'm going to move just slightly. I may not have been at the center point of that trigger point, of that knot. Then I'm going to roll the leg a little bit open, get a different line right down the leg. Now, I'm using my other leg to assist, to adjust how much weight is pushing down on this roller on my body. If I can handle it, I can put my entire body weight on that roller and roll down. If it's a soft roller too, that'll make a change in how much weight you want to put on. Breathing, nice long deep breaths, a nice 3-second inhale, 3-second exhale. Try to relax through this stretching technique, through this myofascial stretching technique. Now I'm going to move a little quicker just so you can see how we get the entire leg. So I'm rolling over, different area, different area. Again, any spot you feel tender point, you want to stay on. Same thing with the other leg. I'm not going to repeat that leg. You have the idea of that. Again, not rolling over the knee, not rolling over the ankle. You may want to check with the physician if this would be appropriate for you, especially if you're pregnant, varicose veins as well. You want to be careful with this technique. So check with your physician before you start that. Now, upper leg. I'm going to be above the knee. And I'm going to start on the hamstrings. It really doesn't matter where you start. On the back of the leg is where I'm going to start. And again, I'm looking to cover the entire area. So down one line, and then the change of position, up and down another line. This can really help recovery between workouts. Again, we're looking at increasing blood flow. Increase blood flow, nutrients and oxygen get to the muscle, this speed's recovery. So I'm trying to roll my body to the inner part of the leg. I'm not able to really go much further. I'm going to start rolling the other direction. Again, time's sake, I'm going to move this fairly quickly. I'm rolling over still to the abductors, the outside of the leg now, to the IT band, which runs down the leg, the TFL muscle runs up here. This is also a hip flexor area. It brings the leg up, so if you're in a seated position often during the day, you really want to touch on that outside of the leg area. Again, positioning the leg, the opposite leg here, to help with my weight distribution. Any tendon points, stop, hold, move a slight amount. Now again, real time, I'm moving about this slow, about an inch every second or so. Speeding back up. Now here, I'm going up towards that TFL area, a little bit higher. If you feel that you're on a hard area on bone, you most likely are. You're on the hip. You want to move off that. You want to be on soft tissue. See, I'm rolling over a little bit more to my stomach. Thigh, front of the leg, quadriceps area. You're gonna have some tender points. Just wait, work through this. It shouldn't be a sharp stabbing pain, but it's definitely not comfortable. Now you can see I'm rolling over even past being flat, being prone, and I'm rolling back to that inner part of the leg, the part that I missed earlier. You have to change your body position a little bit. You can see I'm even running up fairly high into the leg. Again, this adductor, the muscles that pull the legs in. That's an area you want to get as well. Now when I've finished running through that motion, that segment, I'm going to actually take a seat on the roll. I was working on this leg. I'm going to go through those hips a little bit more. Glutes. And the glutes aren't just right there at the butt where you see it. The muscle attachments go down a little bit further and up a little bit higher, up where you would feel that the lower back is. So if you have lower back pain, tightness, don't just assume it's right there at the lower back. Stretch the hips out, foam roll the hips, glutes. Taking my time, rolling through every area of this right glute complex. Cross the leg, we'll run up a little higher. Again, if you feel that you're on bone, we'll move a little, feel for the soft tissue, muscle. Here, you see I'm not sitting flat, rolled over just a little bit. Here I'm getting a little bit deeper in where the piriformis runs. Just below the glutes. Again, don't want to feel any stabbing pain, any very sharp pain. You want to stop if that happens. Again, check with the physician. Now, as I said, you can do this with a medicine ball. It's a smaller contact area, which means the pressure is going to be higher. Meaning, yes, you're going to be able to get a harder massage, but it's going to be a bit more uncomfortable as well. So you want to work your way up possibly to using this. As well, balance is a little bit more challenged with this. It's harder to stay relaxed. Same thing. If I were running down the leg. Now for this video, I'm not using a smaller ball, but you can get that down into the calves, working in areas that are a little bit smaller, a little tighter, especially for your upper back, even the lower back, in where the QL muscle might be tight. You can work with the foam roller, however, mid-back and up. I wouldn't recommend using this from the mid-back and down, other than going for the lats, which run down a little bit deeper. Right? But mid-back, here I'm going fingers at my ears, elbows out, running all the way up towards my shoulders. Again, for the sake, I'm doing this a little bit quicker than I want you to. We can set the hips down, we can lay back, we can support the head, we can let the head hang, depending on what's comfortable to you. If you let it hang, assist when you pull back up. Crunch up, you're going to lay back again. Then I'm going to move. Crunch up, lay back again. Up, slide about an inch, about a vertebra. Back and up. Move back the other direction. Top, down. Foam roller's up a little high. It's not up on my neck. It's still at my back. Thoracic back. Right, from here, I'm going to raise the hips a little, and I'm going to get a little more pressure on and roll, push down through it. You may get some releases, some audible releases. Some snaps, some cracks, some pops. Again, bring it back to your breathing. Don't let yourself get that tense and tight that you're not breathing or you're breathing very shallow. After I run through that, I'm going to pull my elbows in. Come on around here. Come on around here so you can hear me. And I'm going to try to round my back out so that I have almost a rocker type angle in my back. I'm going to roll that out. With the elbows pulled in, rounding my back, the erector muscles on the outside of the spine stick out just a little bit more and allow you to roll in. Now, you can use this up a little bit higher if you'd like to get into the shoulders a little bit more or up towards the neck, just being careful. But that's where it becomes a little more appropriate to use either a tennis ball or a softball or a baseball. You can move around more if you're standing or seated at the wall. Now, as far as the stretches, coming back, calf stretches, we can go more. We can do a couple different things with this. Again, if we're looking, just reaching for the toes, pulling back with my toes, using my shins as well to pull back, and then relax the muscles and hold. As well, using a belt up over the foot, pulling back, do that as well. You can go to one leg. Here you're going to get your hamstring, back of the leg stretching, as well as your calves. Again, bring it back to the breathing. Nice and deep with your inhale and exhale. If there's any pain, burning sensation back of the leg, bend the knee slightly. You can even rest something, a towel underneath there to keep a slight bend. Now with the knee bent, you're going to get a different stretch in your calves. It's going to be down a little bit lower. It's going to be also through your Achilles tendon. Quadriceps. I don't recommend folding the leg underneath the body. I recommend going to your side, hips to your side, and from here, pulling your knee back behind you slightly. So you can see I've already opened my hip up. Now I can lay back, adjust my body so that I get that quadriceps stretch. Another great variation on this, you get the hip flexors and the quadricep. If you have a low enough bench or couch or chair, you can also go to a foot raised position where, again, you can see that the hip is opened up, extended. So I have basically a hip flexor stretch. This is open. And with the foot raised up, getting a nice pull through the quadriceps. So you're going to get a little bit of both. The goal, however, is to keep your lower back as flat as possible. You don't want to feel that you're leaning back and arching backwards. So if you do, come out of it, tuck the hip up. Think of your hip like a dial. Tuck up, and then ease back into it again. Holding here. You might have a chair. You might have a stability ball to assist with balance. Again, we're looking to get into a nice deep stretch. With any of the stretches, again, you shouldn't necessarily be comfortable. They shouldn't be painful either. If it's on a scale of 1 to 10, if you think of that, and 11 is pain, actual pain, 10 is a very deep discomfort. Start slow. Ease into a 6, 7. Go a little deeper into the stretch. 8 into a 9. Go to where you can handle, but again, feeling for a deep stretch. If it's after a workout, if it's an area that needs to be lengthened, it's very tight, you want to hold that anywhere from 45 seconds to 2 minutes. Do what you can. Again, you should feel loosened up when you come out of the stretch. Coming out of stretches, ease back out of it as well. So there was my hip flexor. If I just wanted to focus on that, I'm going to keep the legs straight. If I want to get the quadricep as well, I can either grab, or like I showed just earlier, rest it up on a bench, something raising the foot up a little higher. Hip flexor, quadricep. We did seated hamstring, single leg, or double leg. You can also do this on the floor. Grabbing at the calf, grabbing down below the knee, or a belt up over the foot where you're going to get calves and hamstring as well. Now from here I'm going to go into the hips. Cross my right over my left. I'm going to start by pulling in that opposite knee. My left side is not the side that's stretching right now. It's my right hip. Down to the hamstrings a little bit. Abductors slightly. But it's more glutes and piriformis. I'm also, from here holding, I'm going to press out on the knee. Now I'm going to focus on just pulling in. Deep inhale. And on the exhale, deep exhale, make them pulling a little harder into that stretch. On the inhale, you can even ease up just slightly. Exhale. And holding that stretch. Ease back out of it. You may be that tight that you can get this position. I'll show a variation on this in a moment. Straighten this bottom leg down a little bit. That's going to make it a little bit easier. You can as well pull the belt up over this leg if it's hard to reach. Now, variation on this would be from seated on a bench or a chair. Seated, same position, nice and tall, pressing the knee down. Release the elbow, slight pressure. Some of you may be in this position, and this is a stretch here. Some are going to be down low. At resting, this knee, nice position, nice test would be if this is almost level. Now from here, you're going to start to lean forward. And this was where I was pulling that knee, opposite knee, into my chest. And you're going to move your upper body down to your lower leg, leaning into it. And then you would do the same with the opposite leg or the opposite leg on the floor. Now another stretch is to bring the knee across. Seated, I find it a little difficult to get this stretch seated. You can hug that leg in, pull that foot in as well across. I find that if I think of bringing this knee towards the opposite shoulder, and then make the rest of the movement grabbing at the ankle, pulling the foot in. Yeah, for me, I find it difficult to do that. I prefer to either do this on the floor. Again, I find the leverage on this foot pulls me into the stretch. It's a little bit deeper over here. A little bit deeper in the glutes. In that last stretch that we went through, we felt a little bit more at the hip. This feels like it's more in the butt. Moving in and across, pulling the foot across. You have to adjust. You have to experiment with where you're going to hold that leg to feel the deepest stretch. Now, a variation on this would be pigeon pose, where if you feel comfortable that you can support yourself, you can look at bringing your knee under and across you, and you're going to sit your weight over to that same hip. So my left leg's across, sitting the left hip over towards the floor. And again, I can put my forearms down if I want. I can stay up taller. If it's the other leg, so you have to do. If you have a yoga block or a book or a towel, you can even rest that underneath. Sit over to that, depending on your range of motion. And here we're using our body weight as leverage instead of trying to hold the leg. You're gonna get some stretching through your low back as well with these. So there was the hip stretches, the glute stretches, hamstrings, front of the leg, quadriceps, back of the leg, hamstrings. As far as inside of the leg, a little bit more of the hip, you can almost go to a happy baby pose, which is a yoga. So, but I'm holding on my knees instead of my toes. If I hold up my toes, they feel stretched in the back of the leg. And if we lift our hips up a little, we're going to definitely get a lower back stretch. Deep breathing. If I pull in more behind the leg or at the knee, I'm going to feel for inner thigh stretch. This is going to help you. This position right here is going to help you if you're trying to get those deeper squats. You just feel you can't get down through. As well, we can do this stretch up against the wall. Moving fairly close to a wall, bring our feet up, relax down into it. Keep your butt down on the floor, keep your back flat, let your arms press out on the knees, on the legs, inner thigh, adductor stretch. You can add some resistance down, you can push down lightly. A little bit with the exhale. Now when you're done, when you're coming out of this, assist the legs in. Again, coming up slowly. Working up now a little bit higher. We did some lower back stretches in one direction. We can also go in the opposite direction, which you need to find what makes you feel good. So before we had spinal flexion, this will be extension. So if we're coming flat down on the floor, which if some of you have very tight hip flexors, just flat on the stomach and resting for a good 60 seconds, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, even in this position, can help alleviate some tightness, some pain. If you feel that you can, come up to the elbows. And here we want to keep those shoulders down away from the ears and relax the hips. Try to realize, squeeze the butt, squeeze so that you can relax and feel what relaxed through the hips feels like. This should not be tense. This should not be tense. We're resting on those forearms with our elbows right under our shoulders. And again, deep breathing. With every exhale, you want to feel that another part of your spine comes down to the floor. Now you can see I'm bending a little bit more through my lower back, through the lumbar area. I can get a little bit of a stretch through the thoracic area, the upper back more, if I take my hands out a little further, and from there, push up. And again, deep exhale. If there's any pain in the shoulder, take this out. Now, ease back down, I'll move my hands back about another inch or two. Press up, a couple deep breaths. Relax tips. You should feel again that as you exhale, more of your belly comes down to the floor. And back over further. Getting these stretches as well as what we did on the upper back with the foam roller. Here, it's going to allow you to keep your chest up higher, to stand taller with better posture through your upper back, where it should be, rather than if we're rounded over through our back and we have to curve back through our lower back. That's where that tightness again gets even worse. Now, a couple other stretches for your lower back might be I like to call this hands on the clock. So we're going to basically roll up and around, flatten our back as much as possible, come all the way down and around. We're going to really reach down and out. Exaggerate this movement about 2-3 times. And on the second or third, look to feel where the biggest stretch through your chest is. Now, I talked about this being a little bit of a back stretch. We have a spinal twist, but we're also getting a big stretch through our chest, through our pectorals, pec major, pec minor, and the shoulder. From here, I'm just going to take time. You can easily do these stretches while you're watching TV, while you're doing something in the morning, taking time. Nice deep inhale, nice deep exhale, looking to have that arm come down lower to the mat of the exhale. Spending time, I already feel a couple, only about a minute less right now. Feel this area stretched out, my arms much closer to the mat. It's actually touching now. You may be 8 inches off the floor. Maybe when you're done after about a minute or two, you're 4 inches off the floor. And the following, you're consistent with this. You can do this 2, 3, 4 times a day. If you're tight, if you're restricted in a certain area, you should be doing it. The goal is to basically be flat down. Easing back down and around, back up. Now this can be done just both straight across as well, focusing more on the back. Here I'm not getting a big stretch like I was getting up there with my arms up a little bit straight. When you're done with that, come back over, it sits back up to go to the other side. It's the same thing on the other side. Doorway stretch. You stand between 2 doorways, one doorway, hands on the wall, and stepping through. Demonstrated on here, this is a little wider than the doorway would be, but it's similar. Stepping 1 foot forward so you can support yourself. I like to stretch up high, middle, and then down low as well. Down low, you're going to feel a little bit more on the shoulders. Holding that position. So we went through foam rolling, we went through stretching from the legs, feet on up. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to send them to me through the links on this video. Thank you.